Have you ever felt like you're running in place? No matter how hard you try, your life isn't really moving forward. You wake up, go to work, come home, scroll on your phone, go to bed, and repeat. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months, and suddenly another year has passed, but nothing has really changed. Most people are stuck in this cycle, wondering why they're not making progress, why their goals feel out of reach. The truth? Success isn't about luck or talent. It's about habits, the small, powerful actions you take every day, even when no one's watching. And here's the kicker, some of the most life-changing habits, you're probably not doing them. In this video, I'm going to share 10 game-changing habits that most people overlook. But once you start using them, they will completely transform your mindset, productivity, and overall success. These aren't just random tips. They're backed by science, psychology, and real-life results. And trust me, habit 10 is the one that changed everything for me. So stick around, hit that like button, and if you're serious about upgrading your life, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this. Let's get started. The 5-minute rule, the ultimate weapon against procrastination. Let's talk about one of the simplest yet most powerful productivity hacks out there, the 5-minute rule. The concept is unbelievably straightforward. If a task takes less than 5 minutes to complete, do it immediately. No delays, no overthinking, just take action. It sounds almost too simple to be effective, right? But here's why it works like magic. Most of the time, we procrastinate on small tasks, not because they're difficult, but because our brain perceives them as annoying, tedious, or insignificant. Think about it. How often have you told yourself, I'll reply to that email later, I'll put away those dishes in a bit, or I'll send that quick text tomorrow? The problem is, these tiny tasks pile up. A few ignored emails become an overflowing inbox. A few unwashed dishes turn into a sink full of mess. A delayed response to an important message makes you seem unreliable. The mental clutter from all these unfinished microtasks creates unnecessary stress, making you feel overwhelmed without even realizing why. The 5-minute rule eliminates this problem at its root. By handling small tasks the moment they appear, you prevent them from accumulating into bigger issues. Even more importantly, this rule builds momentum. Taking quick action, even on something as simple as making your bed, signals to your brain, I'm getting things done. And that energy spills over into your bigger tasks for the day. It's like a snowball effect. Once you start moving, it's easier to keep going. Let's break this down into real-life examples. Imagine you just received an email that requires a quick response. Instead of flagging it for later, which, let's be honest, often turns into never, you immediately type a reply and hit send. Done. Or let's say you finish your morning coffee. Rather than leaving your mug on the counter, you immediately rinse it and put it away. Done. Someone texts you asking for a quick update on a project. Instead of thinking, I'll answer when I have time, you type a brief response and move on. Done. Now multiply these small wins throughout the day. You're no longer carrying around a mental to-do list of tiny, unfinished tasks. Instead, you feel clear, focused, and in control of your time. The 5-minute rule is one of the easiest habits to implement, yet its impact is profound. Once you start using it, you'll realize how much unnecessary procrastination you've been carrying, and how freeing it is to just get things done. 2. Daily reflection, the habit that separates growth from stagnation. Most people go through life on autopilot, doing the same things, making the same mistakes, and wondering why nothing ever changes. The reality is, if you never take the time to analyze your actions, you're bound to repeat the same patterns over and over again. That's why daily reflection is one of the most powerful habits you can adopt. It forces you to step back, evaluate your day, and make small but meaningful adjustments that compound over time. The problem is, self-reflection is not something society teaches us to prioritize. We are constantly pushed to be busy, productive, and always moving forward. But without moments of pause, how do you know if you're actually progressing in the right direction? Think about it. Athletes watch replays of their performances to find areas for improvement. Businesses analyze quarterly reports to refine their strategies. Yet most people go through life without ever reviewing their own actions. This is why so many people feel stuck, frustrated, or lost. They aren't learning from their experiences because they're never taking the time to reflect. So how do you implement daily reflection in a way that's both effective and easy to stick with? The key is keeping it simple. You don't need to write a long journal entry every night, unless you enjoy that. All it takes is 5 minutes and three simple questions. 1. What went well today? This helps you recognize wins no matter how small. Maybe you had a productive meeting, finally hit the gym, or simply resisted the urge to scroll on your phone for an hour. Acknowledging progress keeps you motivated. 2. What needs improvement? This is where growth happens. Maybe you lost focus in the afternoon, procrastinated on an important task, or reacted emotionally in a conversation. Identifying weak points helps you adjust and do better tomorrow. 3. What's one lesson I learned today? Every single day has something to teach you. Maybe you realized you work best in the morning, that deep breathing helps in stressful moments, or that a 10-minute walk clears your mind. These lessons, when consistently applied, lead to massive personal growth. This simple reflection process does two things. First, it builds self-awareness. You start noticing patterns in your behavior, both good and bad. Second, it creates a mindset of continuous improvement. Instead of beating yourself up over mistakes, you treat them as learning opportunities. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to be more mindful, intentional, and in control of your actions. You'll start catching bad habits before they become problems. You'll recognize what truly makes you happy versus what drains your energy. And most importantly, you'll develop the ability to course correct, ensuring that every day you're becoming a better version of yourself. It only takes 5 minutes, but the impact is life-changing. 3. The 2-day rule, the secret to never falling off track. One of the biggest reasons people fail to build lasting habits isn't a lack of motivation. It's a lack of consistency. We've all been there. You decide to start working out, meditating, or waking up early, and for the first few days, you're on fire. But then, life happens. You have a busy day, you're too tired, or you just don't feel like it. So you skip one day. No big deal, right? But then you skip another. Before you know it, your new habit is something you used to do. That's where the 2-day rule comes in. It's a simple but powerful principle. If you miss a habit once, never let yourself miss it twice in a row. This prevents occasional slip-ups from turning into full-blown habit breakdowns. Here's why this rule works so well. Missing one day of a habit? That's normal. Even the most disciplined people have off days. But missing 2 days? That's the start of a new habit. The habit of not doing it. Your brain loves patterns, and once you skip twice, you're training yourself to accept inconsistency. Before long, it feels easier to just quit altogether. Let's apply this to real life. Say you're building a workout habit. You've been going strong, but one day you get home late and decide to skip your session. No problem. But the next day you feel tired again. Here's where the 2-day rule kicks in. You must do some form of exercise, even if it's just 10 minutes of stretching or a few push-ups. The key is to show up, because once you do, you're back on track. Or maybe you're practicing daily meditation. You skip a session because you overslept. But if you miss another day, suddenly, it's a week later, and you haven't meditated at all. The 2-day rule forces you to restart quickly, so you don't lose all the progress you've built. The beauty of this rule is that it allows flexibility without allowing excuses. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent enough to keep the habit alive. Even if you do the bare minimum on that second day, you're sending a message to yourself. I don't quit on myself. And that small shift in mindset, it's what separates people who achieve their goals from those who just set them. So next time you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just remember, you can never miss twice. That's how you turn habits into a lifelong part of who you are. The anti-to-do list, the productivity hack. Nobody talks about most people approach productivity the same way. They create to-do lists filled with tasks they should complete. While this is helpful, it has a major flaw. It focuses only on what you need to do, but not on what's holding you back. And often, it's not a lack of action that keeps us stuck, but the wrong actions that drain our time, energy, and focus. That's why you need an anti-to-do list. Instead of listing things you need to accomplish, you create a list of things to avoid, the distractions, habits, and behaviors that slow you down or keep you stuck in an unproductive cycle. Think of it as removing the roadblocks that stop you from getting things done. Why does this work? Because most of our bad habits are automatic. We don't consciously decide to waste an hour scrolling through social media, checking our phones every 5 minutes, or mindlessly snacking when we're bored. These behaviors creep into our day without us even realizing it. The anti-to-do list brings awareness to these productivity killers, helping you replace them with better choices. Here's how to create your own anti-to-do list. 1. Identify your biggest distractions and bad habits. What wastes the most time in your day? Maybe it's checking emails too frequently, saying yes to unnecessary meetings, or spending too much time on Netflix. Write them down. Second set. Specific anti-rules. Instead of vague goals like, use my phone less, set clear boundaries like, no social media before noon, or no checking emails before finishing my most important task of the day. 3. Keep it visible. Place your anti-to-do list where you'll see it often, on your desk, as a phone wallpaper, or in your daily planner. The goal is to have constant reminders of what not to do. Let's look at some real-world examples. No phone in the first hour of the day. Instead of starting the morning in reaction mode, scrolling through notifications and social media, you begin with intentionality. Maybe journaling, exercising, or working on a meaningful project. No impulse spending. If you struggle with unnecessary purchases, adding this to your list makes you pause before buying things you don't need. No checking emails before noon. This prevents you from getting sucked into other people's priorities before focusing on your own. No multitasking. Research shows that switching between tasks reduces productivity by up to 40%. Having this rule forces you to focus on one thing at a time and do it well. No saying yes out of guilt. We often commit to things we don't have time for because we feel obligated. Setting a rule like, no automatic yes, always take 24 hours before committing to something new, can protect your time and energy. The beauty of the anti-to-do list is that it doesn't just make you more productive, it makes you more intentional. It forces you to cut out the noise and focus on what truly matters. Imagine this. Instead of cramming more into your day, you simply remove the things that are slowing you down. You're not constantly trying to squeeze in more tasks. You're protecting your time from things that don't serve you. And that ultimately is the key to high performance. So while everyone else is stressing over their endless to-do lists, you'll be moving through your day with clarity, focus, and purpose. Now grab a piece of paper and start writing your anti-to-do list. Because sometimes the best way to move forward is to first eliminate what's holding you back. The 10-minute learning rule. Small daily growth that transforms your life. Most people assume that personal growth comes from big breakthroughs, a life-changing seminar, a massive career shift, or some aha moment that changes everything. But in reality, the most successful and intelligent people in the world don't rely on dramatic epiphanies. Instead, they embrace continuous, small-scale learning. And over time, those small investments compound into massive knowledge and skill development. That's exactly why you should adopt the 10-minute learning rule, spending just 10 minutes a day learning something new. Here's the thing. 10 minutes sounds insignificant. You might be thinking, what can I really learn in just 10 minutes? But that's where most people get it wrong. Learning isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. When you dedicate 10 minutes a day to learning, that adds up to 70 minutes a week, 5 hours a month, and 60-plus hours a year of focused knowledge building. That's the equivalent of reading 12-plus full-length books every year, just from a habit that takes less time than scrolling through social media. The beauty of this rule is that learning is more accessible than ever. You don't need to enroll in a university or sit in a classroom. You can absorb valuable knowledge while commuting, taking a break, or even cooking dinner. There are countless ways to implement this rule. Reading. If you read just 10 pages of a book per day, you'll finish over 12 books per year. Imagine how much smarter, more skilled, and more well-rounded you'd be if you did this consistently for 5 years. Podcasts and audiobooks. Listening to a podcast or audiobook while driving, working out, or doing household chores turns dead time into learning time. Online courses, platforms like Coursera, Udemy, or Masterclass, allow you to take bite-sized lessons in business, science, finance, creativity, and more, turning you into a lifelong learner. YouTube and educational videos. Instead of mindlessly watching entertainment, invest 10 minutes in videos that teach you a skill, whether it's coding, personal finance, productivity hacks, or a new language. Hands-on practice. Learning doesn't have to be passive. If you're trying to improve a skill like writing, graphic design, or playing an instrument, dedicate 10 minutes each day to practicing instead of just absorbing information. What makes this habit so powerful is that it removes the excuse of time. People often say, "I don't have time to read," or "I wish I could learn more, but I'm too busy." But everyone has 10 minutes. The difference between people who keep growing and those who stay stagnant isn't time, it's how they use it. And here's the best part. Learning fuels motivation. When you learn something new every day, you feel mentally sharper, more confident, and more curious. You start seeing connections between ideas. You develop a mindset of growth, which influences every other area of your life. So, if you want to become smarter, more skilled, and constantly evolving, don't wait for big breakthroughs. Instead, commit to 10 minutes of learning every single day. Because in the long run, small, consistent knowledge building beats occasional bursts of effort every time. 6. The reverse gratitude practice, a powerful shift in perspective. Gratitude is one of the most widely recommended habits for increasing happiness and fulfillment. You've probably heard it before. Start your day by listing things you're grateful for. And while this traditional gratitude practice is incredibly valuable, there's a deeper, more powerful way to cultivate appreciation for your life. The reverse gratitude practice. Instead of simply listing things you're thankful for, this practice forces you to imagine your life without them. Why does this work? Because as human beings, we adapt to what we have. The things that once excited us, a new job, a loving relationship, good health, financial stability, can slowly become normal. Over time, we stop actively appreciating them and start taking them for granted. This is called the hedonic adaptation trap. No matter how good life gets, we eventually return to a baseline level of appreciation, or lack of it. The reverse gratitude practice flips this on its head. Instead of saying, "I'm grateful for my home," you ask yourself, "What if I suddenly lost my home? What would that feel like?" Instead of saying, "I'm grateful for my health," you think, "What if I woke up tomorrow with a serious illness? How would I feel?" Instead of simply saying, "I'm grateful for my loved ones," you take a moment to imagine life without them. This shift in perspective amplifies your gratitude on a deeper emotional level. Instead of gratitude feeling like just another item on a checklist, it becomes a profound realization of how much you truly have. You stop sleepwalking through life and start recognizing the incredible blessings right in front of you. Here's how you can implement this practice. 1. Each day, pick one thing you value in your life. It could be a relationship, an ability, an opportunity, or even something as simple as the freedom to walk outside and breathe fresh air. 2. Imagine what life would be like without it. Not in a negative or fearful way, but just enough to bring perspective. What would change? How would you feel? 3. Let that realization sink in. Instead of just intellectually knowing you're grateful, allow yourself to emotionally experience what it would mean to lose that thing. 4. Return to the present moment and appreciate it deeply. Feel the gratitude in a way that's visceral, not just a thought, but a feeling that shifts your entire perspective. For example, let's say you choose your eyesight. Instead of just writing, "I'm grateful for my ability to see," take a moment to truly imagine waking up tomorrow without your vision. Picture what your life would be like, how it would impact your daily routine, your independence, the way you experience the world. Suddenly, something as simple as watching a sunset or reading a book becomes a gift you deeply appreciate. Or imagine you suddenly lost your ability to walk. How much would you give just to run, dance, or even take a simple stroll outside? Now, when you stand up and move, you don't just do it mindlessly. You recognize it as a privilege. This practice rewires your brain to appreciate the present. It stops you from constantly chasing more and helps you realize that, in many ways, you're already living a life that someone else is praying for. And the impact? Your happiness increases. Your stress levels drop. You stop sweating the small stuff and start seeing life through the lens of gratitude and abundance rather than lack. So while gratitude journals are great, if you really want to feel appreciation at a deep level, try the reverse gratitude practice. Because sometimes the best way to realize how much you have is to imagine what life would be like without it. 7. The move before you scroll rule. How to start your day with energy instead of distraction. Let's be honest, most people start their day in the worst possible way without even realizing it. The alarm goes off, and before they've even sat up in bed, their hand instinctively reaches for their phone. Within seconds, they're scrolling through social media, checking emails, or diving into news headlines. And just like that, their mind is flooded with notifications, messages, and external demands before they've even had a chance to fully wake up. This is a terrible way to start your day. Why? Because the moment you check your phone, you're putting yourself into reaction mode instead of intention mode. Instead of deciding how your day will unfold, you're letting random notifications, social media updates, and emails dictate your mindset. You might see stressful news, an overwhelming email from your boss, or a message that instantly puts you in a bad mood. And just like that, your morning energy is hijacked before you even get out of bed. That's why you need to adopt the move before you scroll rule. The rule is simple. Before you touch your phone in the morning, you must do something physical first. This could be as simple as stretching for 30 seconds, doing a few push-ups, taking a short walk, or even just standing up and moving around. The goal is to engage your body first, rather than immediately stimulating your brain with digital input. Why is this so powerful? Because movement jumpstarts your energy. When you physically move, even for a few seconds, your blood starts circulating, your muscles loosen up, and your body releases endorphins, the feel-good chemicals that boost your mood and focus. Compare that to immediately staring at a screen, which often leads to brain fog, sluggishness, and a scattered mindset. Think about the difference between these two scenarios. Scenario A. You wake up, grab your phone, and spend the first 15 minutes of your day mindlessly scrolling. Your mind is flooded with other people's thoughts, social media comparisons, stressful news, or work-related anxiety before you've even brushed your teeth. You get out of bed feeling mentally foggy, drained, and reactive. Scenario B. You wake up, sit up in bed, and stretch your arms and legs for 30 seconds. You do a few deep breaths, then stand up and do 10 jumping jacks or a short walk to get your blood flowing. Only then, after activating your body, do you check your phone. Instead of feeling groggy and scattered, you feel alert, energized, and in control. The difference is massive. And the best part? It takes less than a minute to implement. This habit might seem small, but it rewires the way you start your day. Instead of immediately falling into a passive, reactive state, you're telling your brain and body, I am in control of my day. Over time, this creates a powerful mental shift, one that leads to better focus, more energy, and a greater sense of purpose from the moment you wake up. So tomorrow morning, before you grab your phone, move first. Your mind will thank you for it. 8. The 80-20 focus strategy. How to work smarter, not harder. Most people believe that success comes from working harder, putting in more hours, grinding through endless tasks, and filling their day with as much activity as possible. But the truth is, not all tasks are created equal. Some actions produce huge results, while others barely move the needle. This is where the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, comes in. It states that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. In other words, a small fraction of what you do each day is responsible for the majority of your success. Take a moment to think about your work, studies, or personal projects. Are you spending most of your time on high-impact activities that actually push you forward? Or are you drowning in low-value tasks that keep you busy, but don't actually lead to meaningful progress? Here's how this principle applies in real life. Business and productivity. If you run a business, chances are 20% of your customers generate 80% of your revenue. Instead of trying to cater to everyone, focusing on your top clients yields far better results. Similarly, only a handful of tasks truly drive business growth, while others, like endless meetings, emails, and admin work, consume time but produce little impact. Personal development. Let's say you're trying to learn a new skill. Instead of spreading yourself thin by trying to master everything, focusing on the core 20% of techniques that truly matter will lead to faster progress. Time management. If you analyze your daily schedule, you'll probably notice that 20% of your activities contribute to 80% of your productivity. The rest, likely distractions, unnecessary obligations, or tasks that could be automated or eliminated. So how can you apply the 80-20 focus strategy to your own life? Follow these 3 steps. Step 1. Identify your high-impact activities. Take a moment to list out everything you do in a typical day or week. Then ask yourself, which of these tasks actually drive results? Which ones contribute the most to my goals, income, learning, or personal growth? Highlight the top 20% of tasks that are responsible for the majority of your success. For example, if you're a writer, your high-impact activity might be writing new content, not endlessly tweaking formatting. If you're a student, your 20% tasks might be focused study sessions, not attending every single club meeting. Step 2. Ruthlessly cut or automate the low-value tasks. Once you've identified the 20% of actions that truly matter, look at the remaining 80% of your activities, the ones that consume time but don't really move the needle. Ask yourself, can I eliminate this task? If a task adds little to no value, get rid of it. Can I automate it? Technology can handle many repetitive tasks, like scheduling emails or tracking finances. Can I delegate it? If someone else can do a task just as well, or better than you, delegate it to free up your time for high-impact work. For example, instead of checking emails 50 times a day, set a specific time block for emails and stick to it. Instead of micromanaging every detail in a project, focus on strategy and decision-making, the parts that truly require your expertise. Step 3. Double down on what works. Once you've cleared out low-value activities, redirect your energy toward the 20% that truly drives results. If deep work brings you the most progress, create more uninterrupted work blocks. If a certain strategy brings 80% of your business growth, invest more in that strategy. The key is to focus on efficiency over effort, not working harder, but working smarter. The 80-20 focus strategy is a game changer for anyone who wants to maximize productivity, effectiveness, and success. By identifying what truly matters and cutting out the rest, you create more space, energy, and focus to achieve your goals without burning out. So instead of doing more, do less, but better. Focus on what actually moves the needle, and watch how your productivity and success skyrocket. 9. The one-question rule. The ultimate focus. Hack for clarity and productivity. In today's world, overwhelm is the default state. We wake up to a flood of emails, notifications, and an ever-growing to-do list that seems impossible to conquer. The sheer number of things demanding our attention can leave us feeling paralyzed, unfocused, and constantly behind. But here's the truth. Not all tasks are created equal. Some things move the needle far more than others. And if you focus on the right ones, everything else becomes easier or even unnecessary. That's where the one-question rule comes in. Every morning, ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do today that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? This simple but powerful question is a clarity bomb. It forces you to strip away distractions, cut through the noise, and focus on what truly matters. Instead of trying to do everything, you focus on the one action that delivers the biggest impact. Let's break this down with some real-world examples. If you're overwhelmed at work, instead of drowning in small tasks, ask, what's the one thing I can do today that will eliminate the most stress or create the most progress? Maybe it's finishing a key project that's been hanging over your head. Maybe it's having a difficult but necessary conversation that will clear up confusion. If you're trying to improve your health, instead of jumping into a dozen habits at once, ask, what's the one habit I can implement today that will create the biggest domino effect? Maybe it's drinking enough water, because hydration improves energy, digestion, and focus. Maybe it's going to bed earlier, because sleep impacts every other area of your health. If you're struggling to grow a side business, instead of spreading yourself thin across 100 different strategies, ask, what's the one thing I can do today that will move my business forward the most? Maybe it's reaching out to a key client, improving your offer, or publishing content that attracts your ideal audience. This rule is based on the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule. A small number of actions drive the majority of results. By focusing on the highest leverage action each day, you eliminate wasted effort and create compounding progress. Most people struggle with productivity because they confuse motion with progress. They feel busy, but they're not actually achieving much. The one-question rule shifts your focus from quantity to quality. It forces you to ask, what is the one thing that, if I just did this today, would make everything else easier? Here's the challenge. Try it for a week. Every morning, write down the answer to this question. Then make sure that no matter what happens, you prioritize this one task. You'll be shocked at how much faster you achieve real results and how much lighter your mental load feels. This habit is simple, but its impact, life-changing. The 30-day Do It Scared Challenge, transforming fear into growth. Most people live inside their comfort zones, and that's exactly why they stay stuck. They avoid discomfort, fear, and uncertainty, thinking they'll grow when they feel ready. But here's the truth. Growth doesn't happen when you're ready. It happens when you take action, despite fear. That's why you need the 30-day Do It Scared Challenge. The rule is simple. Every day for the next 30 days, do one thing that makes you uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be extreme, but it has to push you out of your comfort zone. Why? Because confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Every time you face fear and take action anyway, you train your brain to see discomfort as growth, not danger. You become someone who doesn't let fear control their decisions. It depends on what challenges you personally. But here are some powerful examples. Speaking up in meetings instead of staying silent. Reaching out to someone you admire for mentorship, collaboration, or advice. Posting content online even if you fear judgment. Going to a social event alone and starting conversations. Making a sales call or pitching your idea to someone important. Trying a new fitness challenge that intimidates you. Saying no to something you'd usually say yes to out of guilt. Sharing your honest opinion instead of people-pleasing. Making a bold decision you've been putting off, like applying for a job, launching a project, or making a big move. Fear is like a muscle. The more you challenge it, the less power it has over you. When you repeatedly step outside your comfort zone, your brain starts to rewire itself. What once felt scary becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes easy. Think about the first time you did something that scared you. Maybe public speaking, driving a car, or starting a new job. At first it felt overwhelming, but over time, as you kept doing it, it became second nature. This challenge forces you to accelerate that process, making discomfort a daily habit rather than something you avoid. The beauty of this challenge is that it compounds over time. Each day you build more confidence, courage, and resilience. By the end of 30 days, you'll look back and realize you're no longer controlled by fear. You've expanded your comfort zone. You've taken action on things you would have avoided before. You've grown more in a month than most people do in a year. Here's the challenge. Write down 30 things that scare you, one for each day. They don't have to be extreme, just enough to push you slightly beyond what feels comfortable. Then commit to doing one every single day. Most people wait to feel ready before they take action. But those who succeed, they take action first, and the confidence follows. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means growth is happening. So for the next 30 days, do it scared. Your future self will thank you.